So Brian is now reporting that the father of Emmanuel, the 7-month-old, the parents are accused of the murder, that the father has confessed to killing the...
Breaking news. Just 12 minutes ago, detectives in Riverside County confirmed what investigators have suspected for weeks. 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro didn't disappear on August 14th. He was already dead. For 9 days, his parents Jake and Rebecca Harrow knew exactly where their baby was. They knew he wasn't coming home. They knew there was no kidnapper. They knew the truth about those final, tragic days between August 5th and August 14th. Today, we're going to walk through every piece of evidence that led investigators to charge 2 parents with the murder of their own child. This is the story they don't want you to know. This is the truth about Emmanuel Harrow's final days. If this case shocks you as much as it shocked the investigators, hit that like button right now. We need to keep Emmanuel's story alive until justice is served. Let's begin. Before we dive into those crucial 9 days, you need to understand who Jake and Rebecca Harrow really were. Jake Harrow, 32 years old. Rebecca Harrow, 41, living in Cabazon, California, a small desert community in Riverside County. To their neighbors, they appeared to be just another young family trying to make it work. But investigators would later discover that Jake Harrow had a history with Child Protective Services, a history of allegations involving the abuse of children. Yet somehow, 7-month-old Emmanuel was in their care. Emmanuel was born in January 2025. By all accounts, he was a healthy, beautiful baby boy. His short life should have been filled with first smiles, first words, first steps. Instead, Emmanuel's life would end somewhere between August 5th and August 14th, 2025. 9 days that would expose a web of deception that fooled an entire community and launched one of the largest search efforts in San Bernardino County history. But here's what makes this case even more heartbreaking. While hundreds of volunteers searched for Emmanuel, while police helicopters circled overhead, while the community held vigils and prayed for his safe return, Jake and Rebecca Harrow knew their son was never coming home. They knew because they had already killed him. August 14th, 2025, 7:47 p.m. Rebecca Harrow calls 911 for a Big 5 sporting goods store parking lot in Yucaipa, California. Her story was terrifying. She told dispatchers she had been attacked, knocked unconscious. When she woke up, her 7-month-old son Emmanuel was gone, kidnapped by unknown assailants. The response was immediate and massive. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department deployed every available resource. Search and rescue teams, helicopters, K-9 units. Hundreds of volunteers joined the search effort. The story spread like wildfire across social media. A baby, just 7 months old, taken from his mother's arms in broad daylight. The community rallied. Vigils were held. Prayers were offered. Hope was maintained. But from day one, something wasn't right. Rebecca's story had inconsistencies. Her timeline didn't match surveillance footage from the shopping center. Her injuries didn't match her description of the attack. Most troubling of all, the specially trained cadaver dogs couldn't find any trace of Emmanuel at the supposed kidnapping site. What the dogs did find would change everything. When those same cadaver dogs were brought to the Harrow family home in Cabazon, their reaction was immediate and unmistakable. They detected the scent of human remains, the scent of death. Emmanuel had never left that house alive. Court documents filed by the Riverside County District Attorney's Office reveal the timeline that prosecutors believe led to Emmanuel's death. 9 days of escalating abuse. 9 days where a helpless infant endured what investigators describe as prolonged child abuse. August 5th through August 14th, 2025. 9 days that Emmanuel's parents now claim they can't fully remember. 9 days they insist were normal. 9 days that ended with a fabricated kidnapping story and a community-wide search for a baby who was already dead. But what actually happened during those 9 days? Investigators believe Emmanuel was subjected to ongoing physical abuse. The type of abuse that leaves marks. The type of abuse that requires explanations. The type of abuse that Jake Harrow had allegedly committed before. By August 14th, prosecutors believe Emmanuel was dead. That's when Rebecca Harrow drove to the Big 5 parking lot in Yucaipa. That's when she staged her own attack. That's when she called 911 with a story about a kidnapping that never happened. Think about the level of planning this required. Rebecca had to drive to a public location, stage evidence of an attack, injure herself to make it believable, and then call police with a performance convincing enough to launch a massive search operation. All while knowing her 7-month-old son was already dead. The psychological profile required for this level of deception is staggering. This wasn't a moment of panic. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a carefully orchestrated cover-up designed to hide the murder of an infant. 3 key pieces of evidence ultimately unraveled Jake and Rebecca Harrow's deception. First, the cadaver dogs. These animals are trained to detect human remains with incredible accuracy. When they were brought to the Harrow family residence, their behavior was unmistakable. They detected death in that house. Second, digital forensics. In 2025, it's almost impossible to commit a crime without leaving digital footprints. Cell phone data, surveillance footage, GPS tracking, social media activity. Investigators found inconsistencies between the Harrow statements and the electronic evidence of their movements and communications. Third, physical evidence. Rebecca claimed she was violently attacked and knocked unconscious. But her injuries didn't match her story. Medical professionals who examined her found evidence inconsistent with the assault she described. But perhaps the most damning evidence was behavioral. In the days following Emmanuel's supposed kidnapping, Jake and Rebecca Harrow didn't act like parents of a missing child. They didn't cooperate fully with investigators. They acted like people who already knew how this story ended. On August 22nd, 2025, 8 days after the supposed kidnapping, investigators had seen enough. Armed with search warrants and overwhelming evidence, they arrested Jake and Rebecca Harrow at their Cabazon residence. The charges were as serious as they come: murder and the death of their 7-month-old son, Emmanuel Haro. The moment Jake and Rebecca Harrow were led away in handcuffs, the massive search effort for Emmanuel transformed into a recovery mission. The Riverside County District Attorney's Office charged Jake Harrow, 32, and his wife, Rebecca Harrow, 41, in the death of their son Emmanuel. They are also charged with filing a false police report. But here's what makes this case even more disturbing. According to a criminal complaint, Emmanuel was killed sometime between August 5th and August 14th, a 9-day period leading up to their call to police reporting his disappearance. 9 days. For 9 days, these parents lived with the knowledge that their child was dead while an entire community searched desperately for him. The bail was set at $1 million each. $1 million to keep 2 people accused of murdering their own baby from fleeing justice. During their first court appearance, Jake and Rebecca Harrow stood silent as the charges were read. Murder, filing a false police report, the systematic abuse and killing of a 7-month-old child. Their arraignment was continued to September 4th, with public defenders representing both the mother and father. But even with the arrests, the most important question remained unanswered. Where is Emmanuel Haro? Even today, investigators continue searching for Emmanuel's remains. The sheriff's department said the search to recover his remains is ongoing. Search teams have combed through desert areas around the Harrow family home. They followed up on tips from the public. They've interviewed everyone who had contact with the family during those crucial 9 days in August. The search efforts have been methodical and extensive. The baby's father was spotted in a red jumpsuit with deputies in a field as crews continued their search efforts. Jake Harrow has been taken to various locations, presumably to assist in the search for his son's remains. But so far, Emmanuel has not been found. This means a family somewhere is still waiting to bring their baby home for burial. This means there's no closure for a community that spent days searching for a child they believed was alive. Emmanuel Haro deserves to be found. He deserves a proper burial. He deserves justice. And until his remains are recovered, this case remains an open wound for everyone who participated in the search effort. The Emmanuel Haro case has raised serious questions about child protection systems in California. How did Jake Harrow, with his alleged history of child abuse, maintain custody of a 7-month-old infant? What warning signs were missed? What systems failed? The community response has been one of outrage and grief. During a press conference, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco found some hope amid the grim case. The public's response and willingness to help in the search. Hundreds of volunteers had joined the search effort. They walked through desert terrain. They distributed flyers. They held vigils. They prayed for Emmanuel's safe return. Now, they're struggling with the knowledge that their efforts were based on a lie. That while they searched desperately for a missing baby, that baby's own parents knew he would never be found alive. The psychological impact on the volunteers and first responders cannot be understated. They gave their time, energy, and emotional investment to a search that was doomed from the beginning. This case has also highlighted the need for better coordination between child protective services and law enforcement. When someone with a history of child abuse allegations is caring for an infant, what safeguards should be in place? These are questions that extend far beyond the Harrow family and touch on fundamental issues of child protection in our society. Prosecutors believe that baby Emmanuel was a victim of child abuse over time, and that the abuse ultimately led to his death. The legal process is just beginning. Jake and Rebecca Harrow have pleaded not guilty to all charges, setting up what will likely be a lengthy and emotionally difficult trial. The prosecution will need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these parents not only killed their 7-month-old son, but did so after subjecting him to prolonged abuse. They'll need to establish the timeline of events during those 9 crucial days in August. The defense will likely argue that the evidence is circumstantial, that the timeline cannot be proven with certainty, and that their clients are innocent of these horrific charges. But the evidence appears overwhelming. The cadaver dog's reaction at the family home, the inconsistencies in Rebecca's kidnapping story, the digital forensics that contradict their statements, the behavioral patterns that don't match parents of a genuinely missing child. This case will likely result in significant prison sentences if convictions are obtained. In California, the murder of a child under the age of 8 can result in life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. But no sentence, no matter how severe, can bring back Emmanuel Haro. No justice system can undo the suffering of a 7-month-old infant who deserved protection from the very people who should have loved him most. The Emmanuel Haro case represents everything that's wrong with our child protection systems and everything that's right with community response to tragedy. When people believed a child was in danger, they responded immediately. They searched, they cared, they acted. But the systems designed to protect children from abuse failed Emmanuel long before August 14th, 2025. As this case moves through the courts, we must continue to demand answers. We must continue to push for reforms that protect vulnerable children. We must ensure that Emmanuel's death wasn't in vain. If this case has affected you, if you believe children deserve better protection, if you think Jake and Rebecca Harrow should face the full consequences of their alleged actions, let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to True Crime Chronicles to stay updated on this case as it progresses through the legal system. Share this video to keep Emmanuel's story alive until justice is served. Emmanuel Haro was 7 months old. He deserved a lifetime of love, protection, and opportunity. Instead, he got 9 days of abuse that ended in death and a massive deception that fooled an entire community. We won't forget Emmanuel. We won't stop demanding justice. And we won't let his story disappear into the statistics of child abuse cases that happen far too often in our society. This has been True Crime Chronicles. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember that every child deserves protection from those who would do them harm.